gymnastics. As far as the wrestling biz, what I did was I intimidated a lot of people because I didn't give a
big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money.
Mexico, weighing in at 228 pounds, the Florida heavyweight champion, Hector Guerrero, and his opponent accompanied to the ring by the voluptuous Miss Brenda Britton from Tampa, Florida, weighing in at 230 pounds. Here he is, Hustler Rip Rogers. TV time remaining.
One fall, television time remaining. Hector Guerrero, the Florida heavyweight champion, moving out against Hustler Rip Rogers. And I'll tell you something, Rogers is an impressive competitor. And so Guerrero throwing his man off a little bit. It's a going over takedown, and Rogers complaining to the referee. But I certainly didn't see any tights being pulled there, buddy.
No, Rip Rogers, well, there's a nice swing over takedown and coming up with another one. And he really has Hector Guerrero on the run. So Rip Rogers is a ring general. The man knows his way around the ring. However, I don't agree with everything he says about what he calls the beautiful Miss Brenda Britton. I do believe that if he thinks she's beautiful, he might definitely need to see his optometrist. Nice hip lock takedown by Hector Guerrero there. Looks like the tables can change in professional wrestling so quickly. Brenda Britton there complaining that Hector pulled the hair, but he did not pull the hair. I was watching it very closely. Referees saying, come on, let's get on with the match. Both men, I'm sure, have a lot of respect for the other. Coming into a full Nelson.
All right. Referee Bruce Tharp has been, and let's see what happens here as Guerrero escapes from that full Nelson, and Rogers back to his feet and is more than somewhat upset. Wahoo McDaniel was helped from the ring. Brother, I'll tell you one thing. The missing link, Abdullah the Butcher, Hercules Hernandez, Kamala the Ugandan Giant, Bruiser Brody, these are all big, tough men. But when you take a look at fellas like Bugsy McGraw, Blackjack Mulligan, you take a look at men like Brian Blair and Mike Graham, and Wahoo McDaniels has got some good backup as well.
Well, I believe the whole situation comes out pretty even, like you mentioned. The Ugandan Giant Kamala, about 375, 380 pounds, just a powerhouse. And Abdullah the Butcher from Sudan, he's tipping the scales right around 400 pounds. Another man that feels no pain, the missing link. But when you compare it with Wahoo McDaniel and Blackjack Mulligan, Bugsy McGraw, men like this, it comes out pretty even because these men that are siding with Wahoo McDaniel are just as devastating and powerful as what Percival Pringle has in his stable.
No question about that. Hustler Rip Rogers forcing Guerrero back into the far turnbuckle. Rogers, an all-around athlete, as is Guerrero. These men, in my opinion, are very evenly matched. High toss by Rogers now, and it's Rogers closing in on Guerrero again, getting the side headlock. And so Rogers has good suplex by Hector Guerrero, the Florida heavyweight champion. Boy, I'll tell you, he has been a fighting champion. Wild Bill Irwin has done everything he can to insult Hector Guerrero, to try and psych him out. Guerrero said, I'll tell you what, I'll defend my title against him any place I can get him. Doesn't make any difference, he said. In fact, the matter is, if I get him in a steel cage, I'd love that. So Guerrero is certainly not afraid of anybody.
No, Hector Guerrero, of course, since he's become champion, has taken on all comers. He only wants the very best. Wild Bill Irwin is one of the best. Right now, for a televised match, this right here is a main event anywhere with Rip Rogers and Hector Guerrero. Both of these men pretty close to the same size. Both having a lot of wrestling skill and talent. Well, that was a pretty good block on the part of Rip Rogers. It was going to be a sunset flip, but it didn't work out that way, much to the dismay of Hector Guerrero. But one thing that Rip Rogers does have in his favor, of course, is that extra person at ringside. Very nice rolling
move
cradle.
by Guerrero that time, pardon me, buddy. But it was Guerrero with a sensational move there, but it backfired on him as he caught a tremendous impact to the skull. Guerrero now the headbutt, and then a good forearm under the jaw of Rip Rogers. Rogers rocked and driven backwards. And Rogers could be in a lot of trouble here now as Guerrero uncorks a right hand over the eye. Another one to the temple area of the head. And it is Guerrero now pounding away at the head slowly, deliberately, methodically, punishing the hustler Rip Rogers. Trying to set him for a high vertical suplex. Does so. Rogers back to the canvas again. And this battle could go either way, in my opinion, buddy.
Well, it's been very close. If this was being scored on points, it would be just about an even match. Both men are pretty close in wrestling skill and ability, ring experience. But once again, I will say that what goes in Rip Rogers' favor is that extra person in the ring that can be a distraction, can get you turning your head, can interfere. Very nice move on the part of Rip Rogers. He saw what Hector Guerrero was up to, and he moved out of the way. Consequently, Hector Guerrero got himself in trouble. You have to be very careful. This shows that the strategy and skill of Rip Rogers is something to be reckoned with.
Again, a count of two. Bruce Tharp right on top of things. Neither man able to gain a pinfall, but a couple of near fall. Good, tight cradle that time. And Rogers powers away from it. Rogers overhooking the head. And it is Guerrero with a block. Guerrero, good block in reverses on Rogers. Guerrero definitely going to trying to go for a pinfall here. And it would appear to me, obviously, if Rogers gets a pinfall on Guerrero, that makes him a #1 contender for that Florida title, as well as the Southern title that he's shooting for.
Yes, it really would. So you can rest assured that Rip Rogers will be doing everything humanly possible to defeat Hector Guerrero, knowing full well that once you defeat a champion, that puts you right up on top of the best, which puts you in line for the main event matches, and that's where the big money is. Snapmare out of the corner, trying for a pinfall. But it takes more than that to get a pinfall on a man like Hector Guerrero. But you can see that Hector is groggy now. He's kind of hanging on the ropes in the corner. Doesn't have 100% of his wits about him now.
You know, the heat could be beginning to take its toll now, too, on these competitors. And both men glistening now with perspiration, and not too terribly much time remaining in this hour of Florida Championship Wrestling 85. But I can assure you, plenty of action between these two right now. And next week, good drop kick by Guerrero. Good drop kick. Next week, something very, very special here on Championship Wrestling. I am not at liberty at this time to divulge it to you, but I think you're going to find it most interesting. Beautiful back suplex and high bridge by Guerrero, but he didn't have enough leverage that time. And now it's Rogers in behind his man. Guerrero hangs onto those ropes. And these men have burst forth with tremendous energy. Great intensity. Good somersault away by Guerrero. Guerrero, cross-body block. This is it. No, sir. I thought for sure that was it, but it is not.
Well, these men knowing full well that the time is getting very short in this televised time limit match here. There is a nice abdominal stretch, This is a submission hold. Looks like Rip Rogers grabbing for the hair of Hector Guerrero, trying to pull him off. Was able to get him off.
Rogers broke it, and that's phenomenal. You don't see many people break that hold. Once you get it on somebody, it's generally all over. Rogers catches Guerrero. Guerrero sliding outside the ring momentarily. And just seconds remaining now in this one-fall television time limit remaining match. And it is Guerrero being brought back. A good cross. Good counter. And again, Rogers able to power out as Guerrero is going for that pinfall. Our time is completely gone. See us again next week at the same time. Until then, speaking on behalf of Buddy Colt, this would be Gordon Soley saying, stay with the best. Stay with the NWA. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold and rubber band wrap, and when it pop.